Hello and welcome. My name is George Dashiell and I am a candidate for Idaho Governor. The governor's race is in 2010. We're starting now so you can become familiar with my campaign. I'm a one-issue guy, as I like to say, true democracy. I'm going to implement a true democracy from the decision-making standpoint in the governor's office. What essentially that means to you, the voters, is that you'll be able to vote on anything the governor makes a decision on, whether that's the veto, appointees, agenda, resources, budget, whatever it is. I'm going to take a vote of you, the people, and whatever you decide by majority rules, I'm going to implement as governor. In fact, I won't have any personal say in it. Just whatever you decide, I'll actually make legal as a legal governor here in the state of Idaho. So let's talk about some of the aspects of what true democracy is. Some of the questions people ask me is, aren't we in a democracy now here in the United States and in Idaho? And the question to that is no, not really. What we're here in Idaho in the United States is what we call a republic. And how do you know that? Is because we pledge allegiance to the republic. And essentially what a republic is where we elect representatives to decide things and set policy for us. However, we don't have any direct say over what they actually do once they go to office. The difference between a democracy and a republic is that you, the people, are in full command of your governance at any time. So how does that actually work? The question ultimately ends up that you end up in a voting process that here in the state of Idaho, when I implement a true democracy as a governor, you'll be able to vote by paper, phone, and computer at any time. So let's say a veto comes to the, or a bill comes to the governor's desk. Governor has 5 days in which to either sign, veto, or do nothing with that bill during that 5-day period. You, the people, will be able to vote on it. You can vote yes, no, abstain, your representative, or you didn't vote. Those are your vote options just by physics in a true democracy. So I know that sounds a little unusual, and some people think, well, I'm not quite sure I'm qualified to vote on everything. Well, the key piece there is that you can still assign a representative in a true democracy. That representative can be any voter that you decide who's also willing. So I'll give you an example. That could be a politically savvy politician. That could also be your mother. It could be your best friend. It could be your pastor. It could be head of any group that you decide, anyone you decide, as long as they are willing. And that's a key piece, because you may be too busy to vote on everything that comes before you, but you can still assign a representative. However, if a big issue comes up and you want control over that, you'll actually be able to do that by voting yes, no, abstain, or you don't vote if you'd like. The key thing that happens in a true democracy, and one of the reasons that I'm going to implement one as the governor of Idaho, if you, the people, will elect me and make yourselves governor, essentially, is that there's some problems that we see surfacing in our society right now that are being caused by too few people are making decisions for such a complex society. And the realistic facts is that back in 2007, 3 Nobel laureates proved that more heads are better than 2. And that goes for anything. Economics, politics, going out to dinner, whatever it is. When you have more people who are trying to make a decision on something, you actually come out with more correct outcomes for the general population. And so that's the key piece right there, is that just by physics, by statistics, the more people we have making decisions, and in terms of our governance here in the state, the more correct outcomes that will occur. And one of the neat things about a true democracy is that that's the way it's supposed to be here in the United States and in Idaho. All men and women are created equal in the United States and here in Idaho as well. And the interesting fact that happened was that was our Declaration of Independence. Those are words that everyone is familiar with. The words that people aren't familiar with, though, is the word separate and equal station. Separate and equal station refers directly to your ability to make decisions. And you'll notice it says separate and equal station in the Declaration of Independence. It actually says you're able to assume the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle you. Well, back in 1776, when the Declaration of Independence was signed, and we became a free country, and you became a free person, essentially, back then, the laws of nature and of nature's God didn't permit a true democracy, because how was a farmer in, say, Virginia going to vote on everything that came before the Congress of the United States. It was physically impossible back then. However, in today's world, our technologically wonderful world that we live in, the laws of nature, electricity, and of nature's God, mathematics and physics, do permit us to now vote on everything. The reason that does is because you have the ability to vote by paper if you'd like. You have the ability to vote by phone, and you have the ability to vote online with your computer if you'd like. So now that that has actually occurred, you're entitled to it. And that is why I'm going to implement it as governor here in the state of Idaho. And I think the key piece for you to remember is that, anybody can do that. It doesn't take just me. It could be a House of Representatives person. It could be a senator. It could be anyone. It could be you, a young kid out there right now. You're thinking about politics. You're wondering, how do I serve the people correctly? Well, according to what the Declaration of Independence says and what is true in our United States and here in Idaho, you serve the people by basically allowing them to govern you, not that you govern them. And that's the key piece right there. Now, I have been out all through the state handing out, as many people have seen, these keys right here. I'm afraid that we probably won't get a close-up here on TV, but I'll hold one out here just in case. But you, the people, are actually going to get a key to the governor's office. And the reason you're going to get a key to the governor's office is because in a true democracy, you are the governor. So you should be able to access the governor's office and use the governor's resources just like any governor can. And that's a key piece for you. This is, I'm giving any voter who wants one of these. And the fact of the matter is that's, it's a show of good faith, but it's also a fact that, hey, you do need a key to the governor's office if you're actually going to be able to function and govern. So let's talk about the actual workings of how you, the people, would govern in a true democracy. Well, you got to remember that many of us are way too busy to actually go through all the committee meetings, to forward policy, do those kinds of things, and that's why in our society now, in the Republic, we actually have representatives. You're not going to lose those representatives in a true democracy. What's going to happen, though, is that the true leaders are going to come up through the process. And those true leaders are going to come from those with good ideas, and ideas that make sense to you, and those that make sense to everyone involved in the entire process. And those people will have their voices heard or not heard, and people will agree or not agree with them. But the fact of the matter is that those leaders will emerge, and those leaders will be able to command decision-making within our society, because you, the voters, are going to say, I like that person, I want to make that person my representative. Or I like that person's policy, I'm going to vote yes on that. And what happens in that kind of a system versus the Republic is that those people are still accountable to you. They're accountable to you because at any time you can vote yes or no or abstain, or I'm going to pick a different representative. You have so many options in a true democracy that actually give the system its functioning ability to govern the best for us here in Idaho, and certainly in the United States, although we're talking about the Idaho Governor's Office. My name is George Dashiell, for you people who are just joining us here on TV, and I am a candidate for governor here in the state of Idaho, the great state of Idaho. A little background on myself: I was born in New Jersey.